Hello, this is the Philippine New Land Trust, and you are watching Part 5, Making Your Decision.
Hey everyone! Welcome to the final video in our HomeSecure program series. We've covered a lot of ground: the legal landscape, how HomeSecure works, finding your perfect property, and all the protections built into the program. Now, it's decision time. This video is all about helping you make an informed choice about whether HomeSecure is right for your situation. We're going to do an honest comparison between HomeSecure and all your other options. Condos, putting property in your spouse's name, informal arrangements, and corporate structure. We'll talk about the situation where we actually say no to potential clients because HomeSecure isn't the right fit. Then we'll walk you through the complete engagement process from your first call to moving into your new home. And finally, we'll tackle the hard questions, the tough stuff about costs, risks, and concerns that everyone wants to know but might be hesitant to ask. By the end of this video, you'll have everything you need to decide whether HomeSecure aligns with your needs, your budget, and your retirement plans. Let's dive right in. HomeSecure versus condominium ownership. Let's start with the most common alternative, buying a condo. When are condos actually better? If you prefer urban amenities and you want to be walking distance from malls, restaurants, hospitals, and business centers, condos in major cities often provide better access. If you want minimal maintenance, since condo associations handle building upkeep and security. If you prefer expat communities, since many condo buildings have significant foreign populations. If you have a limited budget, since entry-level condos can cost less than houses with land. And if you want investment liquidity, since condos can be more easily sold than HomeSecure leases. When is HomeSecure better? If you want space and privacy, houses offer yards, multiple rooms, storage, and privacy. If you seek cultural immersion, since HomeSecure places you in Filipino neighborhoods rather than expat enclaves. If you need predictable housing costs, since your housing is prepaid versus potential condo fee increases. If you want modification freedom, since you can renovate and personalize extensively. And if you prefer institutional stability, since PNLT doesn't have the management changes common in condo associations. HomeSecure versus property in Filipino spouse's name. When is spouse ownership better? If you're already married to a Filipino citizen, you completely trust direct ownership can be simpler. If you want inheritance simplicity, since property automatically belongs to your spouse and their family. If you prefer traditional ownership, since some people feel more secure with direct ownership despite the risks. And if you seek lower transaction costs with no PNLT fees. When is HomeSecure better? If you're not yet married, since it removes pressure from developing relationships and protects both partners. If you want a legal protection, since institutional ownership provides stability that individual ownership cannot. If you're concerned about family dynamics, since property ownership doesn't become entangled with extended family relationships. And if you want housing security, independence, since your housing doesn't depend on personal relationship success. HomeSecure versus informal lease arrangements. When might informal leases work? If you know the landowner well and have long-term personal relationships with trustworthy Filipino families. For short-term arrangements, if you're only planning to stay 2 to 5 years in the Philippines, or when you have an extremely limited budget and cannot afford HomeSecure fees. When is HomeSecure better? If you want legal security and professional legal documentation versus handshake agreements. For long-term planning with arrangements designed to last decades. For institutional stability, since PNLT doesn't die, move away, or change their mind. And for professional support with legal backup when problems arise versus being on your own. HomeSecure versus corporate ownership structures. When might corporate structures work? If you have substantial assets and are managing large investments beyond just housing. If you're operating businesses that benefit from corporate structure. For complex tax situations that benefit from corporate arrangements. And if you have an ongoing legal and accounting support for corporate compliance. When is HomeSecure better? If you prefer simplicity and want housing security without corporate complexity. For cost considerations, since corporate structures require ongoing legal and accounting expenses. For compliance concerns, since corporations require annual compliance that can be complicated for foreigners. And if you have limited assets and are just seeking housing, corporate structures may be overkill. Property types we won't handle. PNLT is selective about properties and clients we serve. And this selectivity protects everyone by ensuring every HomeSecure arrangement has the best possible chance of success. We won't handle properties with disputed ownership, unclear titles, missing heirs, or ongoing legal disputes. Properties in high-risk locations with significant natural disaster risks. Ongoing security concerns or areas where infrastructure is limited that long-term habitation is impractical. Properties with structural or legal issues like major structural defects, zoning violation, or land environmental protection zones. And commercial or investment properties intended primarily for businesses operations rather than residents. Clients we decline. We decline clients with insufficient financial resources who cannot demonstrate ability to pay the full property cost plus PNLT fees. Those facing bankruptcy or major debt problems, or those seeking financing arrangements we cannot provide. We also decline clients with legal or visa issues, those without proper legal status to remain in the Philippines long term. Those facing immigration problems, clients with significant criminal backgrounds that could affect community integration, or individuals involved in ongoing legal disputes. Clients with unrealistic expectations or demands, those expecting HomeSecure to function as traditional ownership with resale rights, those demanding modifications to standard lease terms that would compromise program integrity. Clients unwilling to accept cultural integration requirements, or individuals seeking to use HomeSecure properties for purposes other than personal residence. Financial requirements we cannot accommodate. We cannot accommodate payment timing issues. Clients requiring extended payment plans beyond our standard terms. Situations where funds are tied up in complex financial instruments, cases involving inheritance or legal settlements not yet available, or clients seeking to use Philippine-sourced income that doesn't meet our criteria. We also cannot handle currency or banking complications, funds from countries with banking restrictions, situations involving cryptocurrency or other non-traditional payment methods, money sources that cannot be properly documented for anti-money laundering compliance, or clients unable to meet standard banking verification requirements. How we communicate declinations. When we decline to provide services, we follow a respectful process. We clearly explain why the situation does not meet our criteria, suggest alternative approaches that may better suit the client's needs, and provide referrals to other service providers when appropriate. Many declinations are based on timing or circumstances rather than permanent unsuitability. We encourage clients to reapply when their situation changes and provide guidance on what specific changes would make our services possible. Phase 1. Initial consultation. When you contact PNLT, we begin with a comprehensive consultation to determine if HomeSecure is right for your situation. We discuss your timeline and housing goals, budget and financial capacity, preferred locations and property types, relationship status and family considerations, experience with Philippine culture, and long-term plans and expectations. We assess your financial qualification for HomeSecure services, realistic property options within your budget, potential challenges that could affect success, timeline compatibility with your plans, and cultural preparation needs. Consultation outcomes include qualified and interested, where we discuss next steps, qualified but need more information, where we provide additional materials, not currently qualified, where we explain what changes would make service possible, or not a good fit, where we provide honest feedback and suggest alternatives. Phase 2. Engagement and property search. After you decide to proceed, you pay the first installment of our engagement fee. That's 10,000 pesos when your application is approved. This allows your home search to begin immediately. The remaining 40,000 pesos of the engagement fee is due when you make your selection about the specific home you want to secure. The entire 50,000 peso engagement fee is completely non-refundable but applied to 100% toward financial transaction costs if you complete a purchase. This covers assignment of dedicated accredited partner for property search, preliminary title checks and property evaluations, cultural preparation and community integration guidance, legal consultation about properties and lease arrangements, market analysis and property value assessment, and coordination of property viewings and area tours. The property search typically takes 2 to 8 weeks, including defining search criteria, viewing properties and touring communities, narrowing choices to serious contenders, and final property selection. Phase 3. Due diligence and purchase negotiation. Once you select a specific property, PNLT conducts intensive due diligence, including complete title search and verification, lien and encumbrance investigation, tax status confirmation, zoning and permit verification, property survey and boundary confirmation, and environmental and safety assessment. PNLT negotiates directly with the seller on your behalf, structures the purchase agreement to protect your interests, prepares all legal documents through qualified attorneys, and finalizes the purchase terms with clear closing timeline. This phase typically takes 3 to 4 weeks. Phase 4. Closing and lease execution. The final phase includes fund transfer coordination for property purchase, title transfer completion from seller to PNLT, tax payment processing for all government requirements, legal registration of PNLT ownership, insurance activation, lease agreement execution, key transfer, and community introduction. This takes 2 to 4 weeks. Total investment and timeline. Total investment includes the 50,000 peso engagement fee and 10% transaction fee. For a 10 million peso property, that's 11 million total for a 25-year lease, or 11.5 million for a 50-year lease. The complete process typically takes 12 to 22 weeks from initial consultation to move in, depending on property complexity and your decision-making timeline. cost and financial concerns. Let me address the tough questions directly. Is HomeSecure more expensive than buying a condo or putting property in your partner's name? Upfront? Yes. HomeSecure includes service fees that direct ownership doesn't have. However, consider the total cost of ownership. HomeSecure eliminates rent increases forever, provides institutional stability that informal arrangements lack, and includes legal protection worth far from more than the fees. What if you can't afford the full purchase price plus fees? We're transparent about the total costs up front to avoid the situation. If you can't afford the complete package, HomeSecure isn't right for you at this time. What happens to your money if PNLT goes out of business? PNLT maintains a dedicated fund specifically to ensure all active leases can be fully serviced through their complete terms by qualified external trustees, even if our organization faces challenges. Legal and security concerns. Is this arrangement really legal, or could the government shut it down? HomeSecure operates entirely within established Philippine law governing long-term leases to foreigners. We work transparently with government agencies and maintain all required registrations. However, laws can change, and while existing leases would likely be grandfathered, we cannot guarantee future policies changes won't affect the program. What legal recourse do you have if PNLT violates the lease agreement? Your lease agreement is a legal contract enforceable in Philippine courts. You have the same legal protections as any other tenants, plus additional protections from PNLT's institutional structure and government oversight. Relationship and family impact. Won't your Filipino partner think you don't trust them if you use the HomeSecure instead of putting property in their name? Many Filipino citizens actually appreciate HomeSecure because it removes the pressure of suddenly being responsible for a multi-million peso asset while your relationship is still developing. What if you get married later and your partner wants the property in their name? HomeSecure includes provisions for transferring property to Filipino spouses after marriage. You get security during dating and engagement, then the option to convert to traditional ownership after marriage. Practical concerns. What if you need to leave the Philippines permanently due to health or family emergencies? You can transfer your lease to qualified Filipino family members if you've designated them in advance. Otherwise, you forfeit your lease rights and the property reverts to PNLT. HomeSecure leases cannot be sold like traditional property, so emergency liquidity is limited. What if property values increase dramatically? Do you benefit? No. HomeSecure leases don't provide property appreciation benefits. You pay a fixed amount for residential rights, not investment appreciation. Alright, let's wrap up the entire series with the key decision points. HomeSecure works best when you want house and land living with cultural immersion. Need predictable long-term housing costs, prefer institutional stability over personal relationships, and can afford the upfront investment without compromising financial security. It's not right if you need investment liquidity, prefer urban condo living, want traditional ownership rights, and cannot meet our financial requirements. We're selective about properties and clients to ensure success for everyone. The engagement process is thorough and professional, taking 12 to 22 weeks from consultation to move in with transparent costs and timelines. The hard questions about cost, legality, relationships, and risks have straightforward answers. But HomeSecure isn't right for everyone, and that's perfectly fine. The decision comes down to whether HomeSecure aligns with your needs, preferences, financial capacity, and risk tolerance. It provides one excellent option for securing your dream Philippine home while fully respecting the law and protecting everyone involved. If you're ready to explore whether HomeSecure is right for you, contact us for an initial consultation. We're here to help you make the best decision for your Philippine retirement, whether that's with HomeSecure or through other approaches that better suits your situation.